Today we're gonna do something that we've never done. And if it actually works, we're gonna go somewhere that we've never gone. I'm gonna try the OG way of bleeding Magura brakes, except I'm gonna use water in here instead of oil. Now the moment of truth. See if these brakes work. I would say yes. And now to do something we've never done before. We're gonna ride High Rocks Park. I've actually seen this spot from the freeway before, but I didn't realize it was an actual park. I thought it was in somebody's backyard, or I was gonna have to like sneak through something to get down to it. But turns out there's actually a parking lot and everything. This is gonna be the perfect place to test out our water brakes. I'm actually kinda speechless right now. This place is insane, and it's 10 minutes from where I've lived the last 7 years of my life. I kinda can't believe it. This is basically trials heaven. The parking lot's right there, and there's all of this. I have a feeling we're gonna be here quite a bit more from now on, because this is ridiculous. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself here, but the number one thing you can do wrong when you find a spot just like this that's everything you ever hoped it was gonna be is send it a little bit too early. Like, even though there's massive stuff to do here, you gotta start out with the basics and then build your way up. This happens at places like Whistler, where people get excited on their downhill bikes and they send it on the first run and they get hurt because they didn't do a proper warm-up. So keep that in mind. If you ever find a place that's basically heaven on earth for trials, chill and then get to it. Just gonna let a little bit of air, a little bit of extra traction here, and soften things up a bit. You don't want to go too soft when you get out to places like this, because it can rebound you in a different direction if you hit kind of a weird angle. So you want to have this kind of mix between soft enough that it's rolling around stuff, but it's not so soft that it's rolling over onto the side of the rim. The other thing that's happening is that this is the first time I've ridden that bar stem combo actually outdoor and on natural terrain. It's really starting to feel comfortable. So this mix of brakes that are holding up great, plus new bar and stem, has totally transformed this ride. Here's a fun move when you're riding natural terrain that you can practice. You have to just find the right spot where there's a little bit of an angle and something that you can put your back tire on. It's called a wedge, where you jam your front wheel into the rock. And when you do that, you can kind of balance in place, move your front wheel around just a little bit until you get everything right. Then you kind of crouch back in this motion where you've brought your pedals back and you spring forward and jump up onto the rock. I call it a wedge. There's a couple other names to use for it. The biggest watch out when you're doing this is keep an eye on where your back tire actually is. If where your back tire is over a little roller, there's a good chance you can get hung up on that and flip over the bars. So be really careful where you put your back wheel when you're doing a wedge. But when you get it right, this move is one of my favorite, most fun things to do. How insane is this riding spot? This is one of the best days I've had on this trials bike in quite some time. You may remember that the reason we're here at this spot is to test out the brakes that I've bled with water. Everything seems to be working super well. In fact, maybe the best that I've ever had my brakes work in quite some time. The only thing that's really bothering me on this ride is this nagging suspicion in the back of my head. I've seen a handful of comments online of people saying that if you bleed your Maguras with water, it can damage the seals and the brakes can just lock up on you. I've heard a lot of people have never had this problem. I've heard people that have had this problem. So really the question is, do I keep riding or do I go back to oil? Hop and pop.